trust you are doing well. It is now time for the morning watch. Yes, I really want you to stay tuned because I know that, of course, we'll be discussing something very interesting so you can be informed and be in the know.
Listeners to Love 101 FM are advised that the views and opinions expressed in this program are not necessarily those of Love 101 FM.
Hello and welcome to the Morning Watch on Love 101 FM. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. A special welcome to our listeners on love101.org, and if you're overseas and on the move, U.S. listeners can access us at 712-832-8001. And if you're in the UK, 0330-332-6541. Or join us via the Love 101 FM app that can be downloaded from the Google Play Store or the Apple Store. You can also join us on Love 101 FM Facebook and the YouTube Live. In the first watch today, evaluating the recent parliamentary motion for Bob Marley to be made a national hero. And in the second watch, when marriages become marred images, concerns about the divorce rate in Jamaica. For our social media question, we ask, what is your case for or against Bob Marley being named Jamaica's next national hero? Please share your responses on our Love 101 FM Facebook page and YouTube channel, and also on WhatsApp 876-997-3125 using the hashtag The Morning Watch. We'll share your responses later on in the program, but before all of that, here's I Quote.
I quote, life becomes easier when you learn to accept an apology you never got. Robert Brault.
Good morning, Roche.
Good morning.
Yeah, another good quotation there.
Well, that one sounds like, an apology when it's like, that sounds like when you're dead. Because
so like when you're dead.
Yeah, you accept an apology you never got. So
yeah, right. You do it in absentia. But I guess what it is saying is that some apologies may never come.
Yeah.
So you learn to get on with your life.
Mm-hmm, that's right. We have to do
well,
that.
The first watch will be back after this break.
All right. Stay tuned, my friends.
Easter is approaching, and we are in the season of Lent when Christians the world over take the time to have deeper reflection on the passion of the Christ, the purpose of his crucifixion, and the prize for our commitment to serve, obey, and worship our Lord. Love 101 invites you to listen each day for our Lenten feature, where Jason and Tatiani Brown from the Escarpment Road New Testament Church of God share a reflection on the reason we pause and the heart of our solemn celebration of the death, burial, crucifixion, and resurrection of our Christ. Listen Mondays and Wednesdays to Saturdays at 11:45 a.m. and at 9:45 a.m. on Tuesdays and Sundays for our Lenten feature, Renewal of the Mind. It's right here on the family station, Love 101.
Tremble, tremble, tremble. He knows my name. Here is your opportunity to connect with someone who will listen, pray, and give guidance. It's the telephone counseling ministry of the Edgewater Baptist Church. Please call 876 220 6474. Weekdays between 8 a.m. and 9 p.m. and Sundays between 8 a.m. and 8 p.m. Please talk to someone if you're finding it particularly challenging to cope during this period of global crisis. Someone is waiting for your call. Please reach out today. 876 220 6474. It's the telephone counseling ministry of the Edgewater Baptist Church.
This is a reminder that somebody cares. Endorsed by Love 101.
He knows my name.
Get ready for another exciting World of Worship Wednesday inside Alive, 1 to 5, April 13. Stick around for Prayer Blast at 2 o'clock. More prayer, more power. 2:15, we feature Miranda Curtis as our worship artist of the day. Then at 3 p.m. inside Love's Drama House, it's all about getting to know the cast of Making Lemonade. So join in for the chat. All this and more will come your way inside Alive, 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. with me, your host, Sarah Ann, the Chirpy One, on the family station, Love 101.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. I'm your host, Dylan Dusant. Now, on Tuesday, April, Educational Research at the Michael University College, and the Reverend Dr. Ralston Nemhard, columnist and social commentator. Good morning to you both.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning to your viewers as well.
Good morning. Good to have you both. Both with us. All right. For the record, what are your views on the recent parliamentary motion moved by MP Hannah for Bob Marley to be made a national hero, and why? Beginning with you, Professor Hutton.
Well, for a good while, I think Marley should be made a national hero. So it's not just stemming from this, but it's a view that I've held. I've held that view because of my study of Marley and his global reach, what he meant for Jamaica, what he meant for Africa, global Africa, and what he meant for peace and love and freedom and justice in the world. He is, in many respects, quite a unique figure in this global reach in relation to these issues, these values. He has moved millions of people around the world. In fact, he's deified amongst several nations of people, amongst North American, Native American, amongst the Buddhists in Nepal and other places. He's quite a unique Jamaican figure, really.
All right, Dr. Nemhard, your take on that?
Yes, I share the sentiments. That Bob Marley is really an extraordinary person, and that is global outreach. It can hardly be questioned in terms of the influence that he has had, as Dr. Houghton indicated, in Africa especially, and really around the world, because the lyrics of most, if not all of his songs, speak to something in the human spirit that really appeals to human beings anywhere in the world. I mean, almost anybody who has heard Bob Marley's music and his lyrics and so on, you'll see that what he sings and the way he sings it and the very content of the songs themselves are things that appeal to the human spirit and transcend almost any race or culture. So, in terms of his global reach and in terms of what he should be to Jamaica, and I say what he should be to Jamaica because uh, I get the sense that Bob Marley is more appreciated abroad or internationally in terms of his
Yeah.
merit, even more so than he
Mhm.
is locally.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Lemar, you mentioned something interesting there about his lyrics,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not sure how many people are making this query. I've heard where some persons are saying some of the lyrics are violent. I feel
Mm-hmm.
like bombing a church, for example, and they are concerned about stuff like that. How do you respond?
But you have to look at a song like that within its context, because it most of Marley's songs express a kind of cultural outrage. And in that particular song, for example, he's looking at the church as what you would recognize as a part of Babylon. And Babylon being that
Oh,
social structure, that is arrayed against most people. So when he sings like that, I think he's still in the vein of that kind of cultural outrage that is expressed in all of his songs. But I don't think that literally, I mean, that is something that he would believe, and that he would want to bomb a church. So I think you have to take a song like that in context, and that's the context in which I
okay.
see
Should
it.
not be, yeah, should not be taken literally. Professor Houghton, what is
Yes.
your understanding, sir, of the process involved in conferring national hero on someone?
Well, I think there's a document um, about what are the requirements for that position, which is the highest honor one can get in Jamaica. And
Yes.
in this document, therefore, I think that the move by the member of parliament from St. Anne pretty much outlines the requirements of that
Well,
document. And
let me be more pointed. Any concerns you
yeah,
have in terms of the process, therefore, as you understand it, is it too long? But there are persons who are saying it should have happened a long time ago.
yes.
Why has it taken so long?
Well, one could ask why it has not taken place when the minister was the minister, when the MP was the minister of culture, or before that.
Interesting.
But time is really the test, eh? And Mali has become more enduring over the years. In his absence of in his physical absence, he has become more enduring. So I don't think time should be a problem there. The issue is, does he deserve to be a national hero of Jamaica? And the national motto, hero's motto, is he built a city which had foundations. Can anybody counter that? I mean, he built a city. I mean,
what does that mean? What does that mean?
It
What does that mean, Professor Houghton? Well, hold that thought. Hold that thought. We're up on a break. Hold that thought, Professor Houghton. I'm so sorry. We're up on a break. We'll be soon back. Soon be back.
Yes.
You know how Jamaican people do everything extra, right? So why should planning your retirement be any different? Introducing Jngi Silvershield, 2-in-1 coverage for motor vehicle and home including contents. See? Extra! Imagine 25% JN member discount, emergency roadside assistance, accident forgiveness up to $1 million and more. Jngi Silvershield, exclusively for members of the Caribbean community of retired persons. Visit jngi.com. JNGI, we'll help you find a way. A member of the JN Group.
The first sound they make is to simply let the world know they're here. And then it's our duty to help them show the world why they're here in the first place.
Give them every advantage with the Guardian Achiever, a plan that provides for their educational dreams and protects their health and life in the process. For more information, call 888-4LIFE to speak to an advisor or visit myguardiangroup.com.
From generation to generation, Jamaicans have depended on JN Bank to make the pride and joy of providing a safe place for their families possible. Now, with no processing fees and no down payment mortgage options, you can open the door to your own sweet home, a legacy to hand to your next generation. Visit jnbank.com to get pre-approved today. JN Bank will help you find a way.
Jamaicans, it's our Diamond Jubilee, 60 years of independence, and the cultural powerhouse JCDC is searching for Jamaica's next gospel star. The JCDC is now accepting entries for the Jamaica Gospel Star competition. Share your ministry in song. Submit your video performance of a cover or original song of 2.5 minutes. Visit the JCDC's website and social media pages for details to register and upload your entry. Deadline extended to Friday, April 15. Are you the next gospel star?
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint, and in this, the first watch, we are evaluating the recent parliamentary motion for Bob Marley to be made a national hero. And in so doing, we have online Professor Clinton Hutton, Director of the Institute of Technology and Educational Research at the Michael University College, and the Reverend Dr. Ralston Nemhard, columnist and social commentator. Before the break, I believe, Professor Hutton, you were telling us about the city statement there. How do you understand it? What does it mean?
It speaks to the nature, the depth and quality and reach of the body of work done by such a person who will be national hero. And I don't think anyone can deny that Marley's body of work, in terms of the lyrical content of his music, in terms of the aestheticism, that is the notions of beauty in his music, in terms of the global reach of his music, in terms of the endurance of his music. It is clear that motto, he built a city which had foundations, clearly applied to him, clearly applied to his work. Marley is studied in many universities around the world. He has influenced social movements in the world since his transition. Social movements from Black Lives Matter, social movements in the various uprisings you had, which is referred to as the Arab Spring, in movements all around the world. I mean, non-stop. And the lyrics of his songs, I mean, there are things like that. I went to a community in Guadeloupe, speak French. And this community of Rastafarians said to me that they knew Marley before they knew Selassie. That is, that they became Rastafari on the basis of knowing Bob Marley's song, of hearing his song.
Yeah.
So that his songs are absolutely powerful and universal in its content. In fact, he said in one of his songs, Misty Morning, the power of philosophy floats through my head, light like a feather, heavy as lead. He was talking about Garvey's philosophy, which he has articulated so much in his song, including Redemption song. And he's talking about that. He also says in an interview that when he writes his song, that even a little baby is supposed to understand it. That is what he meant.
Yeah,
by the power of philosophy flows through my head, light like a feather, heavy as lead.
Let me try to bring back in Dr. Nemhard, because Dr. Nemhard, as I believe you would know, there are some persons who are arguing that Bob Marley and the persons of his ilk are definitely cultural icons, but some of them have great difficulty regarding him as a national hero because their understanding of heroes does not seem to fall in line with cultural icons. How would you respond to that?
And therein lies a big part of the problem of really making him a national hero. Because I note both in Professor Hutton's comments and my own, we keep referring to the universal impact of a Bob Marley. And that cannot be denied. I mean, he certainly has had that impact. But my question is, to what extent is there that impact on the local consciousness of the Jamaican people in accepting him with the kind of adulation that he's held around the world? For example, is there a course at the UWI in honoring or even seeking to assess for ongoing generations the worth of a Bob Marley and his lyrics?
I'm not sure if there's a course, but I know that there's
tangentially you may have references in some courses, but
yes,
something dedicated to him. And I think the biggest problem we're going to have is to really have him understood in the Jamaican consciousness as somebody who can be elevated to that. There are still many Jamaicans, frankly speaking, who just see Bob Marley as a Rastaman and all the kind of negatives that they have about Rastas. And they cannot look beyond that to recognize and appreciate.
Dr. Nemhard, but even with the international recognition that is there, what determines the regard that persons would have for him to be national hero? Because you have other names out there that are international stars, well known. I mean, you have Buju Banton, you have Cartel. Should they also rise to the status of national hero because of that?
Or you could even go on and mention Usain Bolt in another sense, and Jimmy Cliff.
I intentionally didn't mention those.
I know you're dealing with the musicians.
Yes. Because people are arguing that way.
You cannot. Sorry.
Yes.
You really cannot compare Bob Marley's reach and depth and philosophical strivings in relation to certain universal values: freedom, justice, peace, love. You really cannot compare that to say that person is globally popular and therefore there are different types of global types of popularity. Bob Marley's depth, his philosophy, is what makes and is embraced by people struggling for freedom and justice in pretty much every corner of the world, makes him absolutely in a different category than most other persons. Whether they are from Jamaica or they are from somewhere else in the world.
Does it rise to heroism, Professor Hutton?
Well, if that is the way you want to put it, you could put it that way. But look, man,
just asking the question.
The reference to Marley,
I'm just asking the question.
And an appreciation for him globally is not a fluke. Sometimes even I am surprised when I go to certain places and see the way in which he is represented in thought, the way he is represented in scholarship, the way he is represented in philosophy, articulating freedom and justice, the way he is represented in visual arts, in drama. This is unique.
And Bolt would also have similar recognition across the world. Yes, Dr. Neyman. Yes.
But let me just say that there is no question that if the criteria for naming him a national hero depended on the global esteem in which he's held, he'd be way up there, way on top. But I still go back to the local situation. And for our Jamaican people to really understand the depth and the breadth of his work, to be able to come to that point where they would want to elevate him to the pantheon of heroes. And let me just say something about that, because I find the criteria that, at least the main criteria that the Honors Committee has come up with, services of the most distinguished nature. I mean, what does that really mean?
That's it.
It is dubious. And yes, he's an extraordinary person, yes. But what does that really mean in concretizing him in the mind of unconsciousness of the Jamaican people as somebody you should elevate up there? And secondly, do we really... Do we have enough national heroes, and do we now need to name another person up there? Because, I believe that naming a national hero should be a very rare event. We've gone 7. And frankly, some of those that are there, in my view, if you really drill down, Bob Marley would have probably satisfied the criteria for being there. I mean, Alexander Bustamante and Norman Manley, they said they struggled for independence. Struggled what? They went to England, and England was willing to hand Jamaica.
They didn't struggle?
So hard.
Wait, Dr. Neyman.
Even today, we're not even fully independent.
Dr. Neyman, let me get it clear. Are you saying that you don't think they are worthy?
No, I'm not saying that they're not worthy, but I'm not saying they're not worthy, but I have questions as to whether, heroism, properly understood, the extraordinary nature, the rare nature of it, whether some of them should even be there. I mean, I would never question Marcus Garvey, for example. I mean, he has that international recognition too. Probably Marley has a greater recognition internationally than even Marcus Garvey, but then that's a question to be answered. But
he's a student of Garvey.
Well, there you have it. And
so Miss
Nani,
should be up there,
for example,
right?
Nani, a legend, but can she even be concretized in history, real history, as somebody who should have been elevated to national heroism? Those are the things I'm talking about, that we just can't have people being, added to this pantheon just because they have done extraordinary things. I think it's something that we need to give some more careful thought to, and the criteria need to be revisited, frankly.
Time is up on us. Sorry, we have to leave it there, gentlemen. Interesting, insightful thoughts. Have a productive day. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
Listeners, the Morning Watch will return in just a moment.
Apply today for DBJ Recovery Line of Credit or Go Digital Loan to help you find a way. The Time by JN Small Business Loans. It is now 7:31 right here on the family station Love 101.
Jngi Online. It's so easy. Quote by renew. Jngi Online. It's just right for you. Jngi Online. Easy access anywhere, anytime. It only takes minutes, just jump online. Legal insurance must be up to date. No long phone calls and no long wait. Quote by renew.
Jngi Online Motor Insurance, powered by JN General Insurance.
Phoenix Health and Vision Center now has 2 locations. St. Anne's Bay, 65 Main Street beside the health center. And now Shop 30 Champion Plaza, Falma, Trelawney. You heard me right. Shop 30 Champion Plaza, Falma, Trelawney. The only full-service eye care center for all your designer frames and designer glasses. Plus, complete eye care. Book all your appointments now in St. Anne's Bay. Call 876-972-2388. 876-589-8327. For Falmouth and its environs, call this number 876-533-0540. Looking forward to seeing you at both locations. Phoenix Health and Vision Center. Now at Champion Plaza, Falmouth, Trelawney.
In 2021, we were number 1. If you're looking to earn more on your investments, invest in number 1, Sigma Global Funds, the top performing funds in 2021. For US dollar and Jamaican dollar equity funds, we were number 1. For US dollar and Jamaican dollar fixed income funds, we were number 1. For US dollar and Jamaican dollar balanced funds, Sigma Global Funds was number 1. Earn more on your investments. Invest in the number 1 funds in Jamaica, Sigma Global Funds from Sagicor Investments. Conditions apply.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. Let's now look at the newspapers to see what Jamaicans and others are saying and doing. In the Gleaner, Colombian coke link up. Lot of scamming gangsters in Westmoreland tied to major drug bust. Then we see it takes 3 to tango. Paulwell urges delicate dance with US and Venezuela on oil crisis. Also, punish him. Family wants judgment for sex assault of kids. We skip over to the Observer and we see shipping costs fall. Guyana police search for husband after wife found stabbed to death in bed. And also, Grange congratulates Vereen Shepherd on appointment as CERD, that's CERD chairman. Congratulations as well to Professor Shepherd, who has been on our program a number of times. Those are some of the major headlines in our newspapers. And coming up next, we'll read some of the feedback from our social media question. What is your case for or against Bob Marley being named Jamaica's next national hero? Please leave a comment on our Facebook page and YouTube channel, Love 101 FM Jamaica, or WhatsApp 876-997-3125. Soon come back.
Get ready for another exciting World of Worship Wednesday inside Alive, 1 to 5, April 13. Stick around for Prayer Blast at 2 o'clock. More prayer, more power. 2:15, we feature Miranda Curtis as our worship artist of the day. Then at 3 p.m. inside Love's Drama House, it's all about getting to know the cast of Making Lemonade. So join in for the chat. All this and more will come your way inside Alive, 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. with me, your host, Sarah Ann, the Chirpy One, on the family station, Love 101.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint. Let's now join Roshane for a look at how our Facebook and YouTube and WhatsApp friends answered today's question. What is your case for or against Marley being as next national hero? Roshane.
All right, thank you, Dr. Toussaint. Bob Marley being named a national hero, the man who sing, I feel like bombing a church. You should never use that expression. Use something else. Do you know that the role model utterance, how much misguided culprit rise up and burn down churches here in Jamaica and elsewhere? So that's a view from one listener. Let's hear another one. Sister Marva.
Good morning, everyone. I love Bob Marley, but the thing is, I don't think Bob Marley should really be a national hero. I know he put Jamaica on the map, but the map of music, yeah, he's an artist. He was fight for freedom. Look at what Paul Bogle did, Marcus Garvey did, and Nani did. That's why they're heroes. They fought for freedom. Bob Marley don't really free anybody. I don't think him should be a hero.
Good morning. You know, it doesn't matter here nor there if he's an hero. You know, if he deserves it, let him have it. If he don't, let it wait. I don't know.
All right, so that's all we have at this time.
If him deserve it, let him have it. Thank you very much to those who responded. Very interesting comments. Thank you very much, Roshane, for accommodating them. All right, we segue into the second watch. In a recent Gleaner article entitled Divorce Boom, the Court Administration Division reported that the Supreme Court in 2021 recorded 4,381 Jamaicans filing for divorce. Of that number, the said court disposed of a record 3,859 divorces. The number actually, incidentally, was 2,985 in 2020. So, what are the causes, challenges, and concerns associated with this so-called boom? To help us answer these and other related questions, we have joining us Mr. Anthony Williams, attorney at law, and Dr. Michael Coombs, public health specialist and founder and chair of the National Association for the Family. Good morning to you both.
Morning. Good morning. And to your listeners as well.
Good to have you. Good to have you with us. Let me begin with Mr. Williams, attorney at law. What are the legal stipulations, sir, and requirements for the granting of divorces in Jamaica?
Well, in terms of the legal stipulations, the law makes it very clear that anyone who seeks to obtain a divorce must meet certain criteria. And they are as follows. One, they must be married for at least, they must be married for at least 2 years. That is a very important requirement. Have to be married for 2 years. They must also be separated for 1 year at least 1 year, continuously. And separation is defined in law as you can live in the same household, but you're not sharing responsibilities. You may be, the parties may be the same bedroom, but they're not doing, not having any sexual intercourse, and overall not performing their husband and wife duties. They must be established that there is an irretrievable breakdown of marriage. Irretrievable means it's practically impossible or virtually difficult for them to reunite as husband and wife. And those are the critical criteria to live in divorce.
All right. So the separated for 1 year continuously. Could you say more on that, please? If they are living in the same house, is it okay for them to sleep in the same bed?
Yeah.
And regard as separated?
Yes, they can sleep in the same bed, right? They can sleep in the same bed. One party faces north and the other faces south or east or west. The important thing is that they are not performing any husbandly or wifely duties. Sexual intercourse is an important aspect of the marriage, and therefore, if the parties are engaged in that, then it means and suggests and infer that the marriage has not broken down irretrievably, because it means that there's a possibility, high possibility, and propensity that that the parties do have regard for each other and that their differences can be reconciled. So they can live in the same house. There are many cases where, for example, there's a two-story house, could possibly be three or more. One party lives upstairs, the other one lives downstairs, or it could be a flat where one occupies one room, the other one occupies another room. The wife is not cooking, not ironing, washing, those duties. That is what is referred to as separation. They're not performing those marital obligations.
So if she's cooking for him, if she's cooking for him or he's cooking for her,
yes,
that disqualifies the concept of being separated.
Yeah, well, that's just one aspect of it. You know what I mean? One aspect. Basically, and it also does not mean that if you cook and he gets a portion of the meal, that it is not separation. Out of humanity, you may one party may do so, but overall, as long as they're not doing it purposefully for the sake of them performing their duties, then that is
1 year.
What is classified as separation, right?
Okay. Interesting. Dr. Coombs, from the perspective of your organization, sir, how much of a concern is this reported increase in the divorce rate in Jamaica?
Okay, morning again, Dr. Toussaint, and morning to your listeners. Thanks for having me again. And I greet you also on behalf of the Mandeville Circuit of Baptist Churches. Before we get into that specific question about our concern, obviously we are concerned, as a lot of Jamaicans are. I think it's important, Dr. Toussaint, for us to really agree on some basic things concerning marriage, because that will then, have implications for how united we are in recognizing this as a problem, and also recognizing the need for us to unite and allocate the resources and the efforts that are necessary to address this issue. So the question is, does marriage really, with all the discussion, all the discrediting, all the concerns and so on that we talk about ever so often, does it matter? Does marriage as God intended matter? Does it make a difference to the outcome of children? And does it really have a fundamental role, a healthy, intact marriage, to the well-being of a society? The answer to those questions we must agree on. And I can say from a preponderance of research-generated evidence, marriage as God intended does make a significant difference. And I think we need to pause and just ponder that fact. And because it is my view, and the view of many others, that we're not, and those in authority, the policymakers and so on, it seems, it's arguable that they're not recognizing that fundamental truth. and it's reflected in what we're trying to do. So yes, we're concerned because the facts are that children do significantly better in intact, healthy married households throughout their lives. That has been borne out by research. They do better in their educational pursuits. They're less likely to be involved in gangs. We have a serious problem with crime and violence now, murders and drug substance abuse, mental illness. And children who grow up in intact married households it has been established from research, are much less likely to experience those things. Yes.
I'm so sorry, Dr. Coombs. We are up on a break. We'll be right back.
Sure, no problem.
50 and over, get the best health plan as well as fabulous discounts. Visit ccrponline.org today or call 469-1944 and live life to the fullest. The time by CCRP is...
It is now 7:46 right here on the Family Station. Love 101, just you are doing well. If you've just joined us, welcome. We'll be right back on The Morning Watch.
Get ready for another exciting World of Worship Wednesday inside Alive, 1 to 5, April 13. Stick around for Prayer Blast at 2 o'clock. More prayer, more power. 2:15, we feature Miranda Curtis as our worship artist of the day. Then at 3 p.m. inside Love's Drama House, it's all about getting to know the cast of Making Lemonade. So join in for the chat. All this and more will come your way inside Alive, 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. with me, your host, Sarah Ann, the Chirpy One, on the Family Station, Love 101.
Things you can do online with NCB in 10.6 minutes or less. On your marks, go! Open a bank account. Open an investment account. Get a fast cash or pay advance loan. Sign up for our mobile app and pay bills, make transfers, and check your balances. Get pre-qualified for your dream home. Apply for a credit card. Apply for an auto loan to buy your dream car. Visit www.jncb.com/getdigital to get your financial goals moving NCB fast.
Talk and stream all day when you activate any Prime Broadband bundle for as low as $175. Enjoy local minutes to stay in touch with friends and family on the go or your yard. Yeah, you dial *147 number sign from your Digicel phone or activate in the My Digicel app. Digicel, made in Jamaica.
The first sound they make is to simply let the world know they're here. And then it's our duty to help them show the world why they're here in the first place.
Give them every advantage with the Guardian Achiever, a plan that provides for their educational dreams and protects their health and life in the process. For more information, call 888-4LIFE to speak to an advisor or visit myguardiangroup.com.
Welcome back to the Morning Watch. Thanks for staying with us. I'm your host, Dylan Toussaint, and in this, the second half of the second watch, we are discussing when marriages become marred images, concerns about the divorce rate in Jamaica. And in so doing, we have online Mr. Anthony Williams, attorney at law, Dr. Michael Coombs, public health specialist, founder and chair of the National Association for the Family. Before the break, Dr. Coombs, you're telling us about the impact on children and the society at large. Please go ahead.
Right, thank you very much. So I was just making the point that as a society, as a nation, we have to agree on the facts that have been established from research. In addition, of course, to the theological, the biblical basis for marriage. I mean, we sing to our eternal Father in our national anthem. And I think a lot of us would have a serious difficulty thinking that he would create an institution that is not good for us as human beings. The problem is how we approach it. So what I was saying is that the researchers have borne out the importance of marriage, especially where the outcomes, the child health and development outcomes are concerned. And as I said, children who grow up in intact married households, they do better in their educational pursuits. They're less likely to be involved in crime and violence, substance abuse, to experience mental illness. to be dropped out from schools and be on the street and so on. So those clearly are important things to bear in mind when, as a country, we decide if we are going to promote traditional marriage as God intended it to be. And I think we have to therefore agree on that. And then in keeping with that understanding, to allocate the necessary resources and to extend the necessary efforts in supporting marriages, through the church, through other institutions, through our policies, or even our legislation. We have to, if we believe those research findings, which have obvious implications for Vision 2020, the Sustainable Development Goals, and so on, we just have to pause and recognize these facts.
Yeah. So true. Mr. Williams, from your experience, what are the major reasons for persons wanting to divorce their spouses?
Well, there are a lot of multifaceted reasons, and there are no particular order. Actually, from the documents filed in various cases, what emanates are conflicts and arguments. Partners, they cannot resolve their conflicts and arguments, and so it leads to this irreparable breakdown. Then there's also domestic violence, which is a legal one. And the domestic violence is in relation to verbal abuse, physical abuse, or emotional abuse as well. In a relationship, you have one party bullying the other. You also have religious differences, as simple as it may sound. So one may marry a Catholic, and the other is a Pentecostal. The other one is a Seventh-day Adventist. The other one may be a Catholic. I'm just using these as an example. Then you also have lack of commitment. Parties just have no commitment. Another reason as well is where the parties oftentimes marry too young. And what I find, which is very troubling, is that you will find that when the parties marry, they did not marry a friend. They just marry a lover. You got to be friends first, then you become a partner. I dealt with a few cases where the marriage lasted 3 months, and upon inquiry, the parties never knew each other. So when parties don't know each other, they don't know their personal idiosyncrasies, they don't know their family history, their cultural taste. It's a problem. And I think the number one factor is infidelity or extramarital relationships. That is, I think, the number one factor, which permeates in most of the divorce aspects. And then there's also the lack of physical intimacy between the parties, the real problem. So those are some of the problems. And we can also put incompatibility between the parties.
Right. You mentioned, Mr. Williams, about the 3 months incident. Earlier, you had said that they have to be married for 2 years if they are to get a divorce in Jamaica. What happens in the cases of persons who have not reached that 2-year threshold, but they want to get divorced? How is that handled by the courts?
Well, there is provision in the rules governing divorce that you would have to prove what we call special circumstances. And if your case is one where it is special circumstances, then despite the fact that you have not met the 2-year threshold, then you can get through. So, what are special circumstances? It is not set out in the law, but I could give you some instances. There are instances, for example, where the party may have married or they got married, and the other party may have engaged in a criminal activity and has been, put away for, umpteen years. Those could be special circumstances. A fraud in the marriage could be a misconception in terms of the identity of the person. They may have married the wrong twin. Sounds strange. Those kind of special circumstances. So So if they don't meet the 2 year, they can apply to the court and ask the court for an order that based on their circumstance, it is so special that they should not allow them to be denied the opportunity to be divorced for the 2 years.
Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, Dr. Coombs, a while ago, Mr. Williams told us about some of the major reasons from his experience. What would you say are the root causes? Because we're trying to drill down deeper into the discussion now. The root causes for this increase in the divorce rate over the years.
Right. Thanks again. And certainly, I hope, even in addition to the root causes, we can come up with some suggestions, and I'll just make them as I talk about the root causes in the interest of time.
Okay.
But clearly, I would suggest a couple of things as the fundamental reasons why marriages are failing. One of them is a lack of knowledge about what really marriage was intended to be by the one who created marriage, God Himself. So it's an ignorance of what is required based on God's design as we approach marriage, especially as men. And so we need to understand that marriage is not a social contract, primarily as others are advocating. It is a covenant between a man and a woman and God, and that there are laws that the Bible sets down, which we perhaps can't get into right now. But in terms of the fundamental causes for failed marriages, I'd say a lack of understanding of what it ought to be in God's eyes. And secondly, the Bible tells us, and this is borne out in reality, it's still the case primarily, that it is men who are the primary initiators of marriage. I dare say there are women now who are proposing, I understand. But primarily it is the man that initiates family formation. For this cause shall a man leave his father and mother and cleave. And one of the root causes, Dr. Toussaint and your listeners, is that a lot of our men, our young men especially, because they're poor role models, because they're not taught enough in schools, I dare say even in our church, they have no understanding of what marriage is all about and how it should be approached. We need to tell our listeners that there are good marriages out there. There are several good marriages out there which we need to elevate, and we need to, as part of the solution, really share experiences from older couples who clearly have borne out the benefits and the blessings of what God intended for a healthy, intact marriage. But we must begin with our males. They are a key demographic if we are going to turn this situation around, which from the evidence I shared earlier is a must if we are going to be healthy and prosperous as a nation.
Well, what else should we do though, as church?
Yes,
Dr. Michael Coombs.
Right.
Churches have been doing a lot. What is there? What else can we do?
Right. Excellent question. And not sure if I'll agree that churches have been doing a lot. I think some churches perhaps are doing a lot, but I think too many churches are not giving the attention, having that focus that is required. So, for example, it was mentioned about the importance of premarital counseling. That is critical, right? But we need to go further back. We need to address our having activities with our young adults, especially our young men, and educate them about God's design for marriage. Use older couples who have experienced largely, not any marriage is perfect. We're not saying that every marriage has its challenges, but there are couples who have done it God's way, and they have seen the results. We need to have them share with these younger adults. So in the churches, we need to plan social events, for example. We're planning one right here in Mandeville where we have older couples, come in at a social event and have young adults observe how does a man treat his wife, at an event, a social event, things like that. We need to publicly display the affection that many of them don't see in their homes. It's not we're going to be inappropriate, but you know what I mean, because there's so few positive role models about marriage. So the church can organize all of these things in addition to the teachings about marriage.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. I think I'm hearing the wrap-up signal. I wanted to get Mr. Williams to have a final word, but we are unable to do that. Thank you both for joining us, gentlemen. Have a productive and safe day.
Thank you. Keep up the good work.
Great. Thank you, listeners, for being with us. Join us again tomorrow as we continue to set the stage for a discussion of topical and controversial issues. For information on how to get copies of this program, call our production department at 876-968-959627. This has been the Morning Watch. Thanks to our producer, Miss Kathy Gale, and our guests. I'm Dylan Toussaint. Handing you back to Love in the Morning with Rashane Douglas.
Thank you, Dr. Toussaint. Have a great day now.
You too.
NHF beneficiaries enrolled for diabetes can apply online for a glucometer to help manage diabetes. Visit www.nhf.org.jm. The time by the NHF is...
It's 8 o'clock, approaching 8:01. It's time now for